The Indiana doctor who helped a 10-year-old alleged rape victim from Ohio get an abortion is now taking the first legal step toward a possible defamation lawsuit against Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. In an appearance on Fox News, Rokita said that Dr. Caitlin Bernard was, quote, an abortion activist acting as a doctor with a history of failing to report and suggesting that she may have committed a crime in failing to report the abortion in Indiana. Attorneys representing Dr. Caitlin Bernard filed a tort claim notice against Rokita for making, quote, false and misleading statements about alleged misconduct about the doctor. Joining me now is the attorney for Dr. Bernard, Kathleen Delaney. Counselor, thank you so much for being with us. This is a necessary step you have to take toward a defamation lawsuit. What are you alleging?
We're alleging that Mr. Rokita made false and misleading statements about our client and accused her wrongly of misconduct in her profession, which constitutes defamation per se.
What do you allege the consequences of this have been?
The consequences have been unbelievable. There's been this incredible firestorm kicked up. Mr. Rokita's comments incited people to make hateful phone calls and leave hateful messages. So it's been kind of a whirlwind for Dr. Bernard over the last few weeks, but she's been very emboldened and appreciative of also an outpouring of support that we've received from around the country, from OBGYN doctors and from lawyers and legal professionals, all of whom are horrified by Mr. Rokita's conduct.
What specifically do you say was defamatory?
Well, it's all spelled out in the letter, which I hope you have a copy of, but it's basically that he accused her of failing to report child abuse, which is false. She absolutely did that and complied with the law. He accused her of being an activist acting as a doctor, which suggests that she was pretending to be a doctor without a license, which is a crime, when it's obviously readily available to him just looking up her license that she's actually a doctor in good standing. So those are two examples. And then these recent statements from him that he's doing an investigation are also unsubstantiated. I have written to Mr. Rokita twice. He knows that I represent Dr. Bernard. He has not contacted me about any investigation and has not requested any information as part of any investigation. So as each of his unsubstantiated claims gets debunked in the news media, he seemingly is making up a new one.
This is a statement from the Attorney General's office. It says, quote, this is part of a divisive narrative in an attempt to distract from the important work of the office, including the duty to determine whether practitioners have violated the standards of practice in his or her profession, as well as federal and state laws. We will defend against baseless claims. What do you say to that statement?
Well, there are a number of problems with that statement. First of all, Indiana's Attorney General has no power or authority to investigate federal law, period. So his allegations of HIPAA violations are completely beyond his purview, and he shouldn't be talking about that at all. Second of all, he's making accusations of so-called criminal wrongdoing, and the Marion County prosecutor, our local law enforcement, has already confirmed that they are the agency that would have any ability to consider any criminal charges, not Mr. Rokita, who has no criminal prosecutorial authority. So that's a second big problem. But maybe even more fundamentally, the licensing statute that they're referring to, where the Attorney General actually does have some authority, spells out that the Attorney General is to keep any investigations confidential unless and until a decision is made to actually file formal charges. So he's literally violating the statute that he is supposed to be enforcing by talking about an alleged investigation.
What do you want the consequence, or what do you think the consequence should be for the Attorney General?
Well, there has been a disciplinary complaint, at least one disciplinary complaint filed against him by the former dean of the Indiana University Maurer School of Law. And that should trigger an investigation by the Indiana Disciplinary Commission. So Mr. Rokita's license could be in play here, his license to practice law, which is a necessary requirement for his role as the Attorney General. So that process is underway. And then with our tort claims notice, we've put him on notice that we are considering filing a formal lawsuit against him 90 days from now. He's required to investigate the allegations in our tort claim notice, and it's an opportunity for him to try to resolve this dispute or to investigate it or to ignore it. Those are his three options. But we certainly hope that he will get some good legal advice, because he should not continue to defame my client, but he still has defamatory statements up on his website. He still has not taken down Twitters, as of the last time I checked, that we think contain defamatory statements. So we, first and foremost, we want him to stop smearing Dr. Bernard.
Kathleen Delaney, thank you for joining us this morning and explaining the process that you're going through right now. Appreciate it.